Hey guys, welcome to this brief video on reading reversals in tarot for week 2 of the Tarot Self-Therapy course. I hope you guys are enjoying the course so far, and if you have any questions, you can always contact me anytime. I'd love to hear from you. So one thing that I do get actually a lot of questions about is reading reversals. And they can be, challenging, and they can kind of make the whole process of learning tarot seem a lot bigger and more sort of intimidating, because instead of just learning 78 card meanings, you're actually learning, double that. So it's like you can kind of get into a place where, you feel like if you pull cards and you get the reversals, you get a lot of reversals, it can sort of make the reading a little bit more vague or confusing, especially when you're just starting out. And I definitely experienced this when I was first learning tarot. Not so much anymore, because I have a way that I like to work with them. This is a personal way for me. It's not maybe going to be your exact approach, but I'll just share with you guys what I do and what works really well. So the first option for reading reversals is actually just to not read them. And sometimes I don't. I pretty much let everything with my relationship with tarot and also just my relationship with spirituality, I take everything on pretty much a case-by-case basis. So if I see a card come up in a reading that's reversed and all the other cards are making sense except for that reversed one, I'm just going to use the upright meaning. I'm not going to sort of look for something where there isn't anything. The thing about reading cards is that there's a lot of options that Spirit has to relay us messages, and however you believe that tarot works, I believe that there's some kind of synchronistic force that kind of helps you to choose the right cards. So it's a lot to ask of that force to give you all of the perfect cards in a reading and have them all be placed in the exact perfect order. We have to also consider that we are working with tangible reality, and there is an actual physical deck that we're using that it can only have so many different positions, and we can shuffle and shuffle and shuffle and shuffle, but sometimes the perfect message, we're not going to find it by getting all of the cards in their perfect placement. It's more about the cards come up as opportunities and symbols that can really awaken our own intuition. So the magic in a reading is within us as readers, not in the cards. So from that perspective, it really doesn't become as important which cards are reversed and which ones aren't, because the cards don't have any power over you or the reading. It's really just they're there to stimulate awareness and stimulate kind of consciousness. So you can just not read them. That's the first thing, is you don't have to feel bad about that. If you're just starting out with reading tarot, don't worry about it. Don't worry about reading reversals. Just get your hand on sort of get a good handle on the upright meanings and just get comfortable with that. And then you can maybe start adding in more like layered meanings and things of that nature that will come in naturally for you. It's not something to force in the beginning. So that's the first thing. And even once you're very well versed with the cards, you may, as I do, sometimes see that a card that comes up reversed, it's not a reversal of the meaning, because your intuition is telling you that it's not. Your intuition tells you what the reading means, so you don't have to go very dogmatically about the positions of the cards. It's the card came up, so it's doing its job, so you don't have to stress about it. So trust yourself is the first tip. Always trust your own intuition when it comes to reading reversals. The second thing that you can do, or sort of the second tip that I would share, is really just kind of looking at the reversal as kind of like a turn on the original meaning. It doesn't mean that it's opposite, but it just means that there's some kind of alternate sort of aspect. If you were to think of the card's energy being kind of askew, there's something that's twisted about it. And it's kind of hard to explain without using examples. So I have some examples here in front of me that I've chosen before this reading somewhat randomly. But so let's take a card like the Four of Wands. When this card comes up, it often points to a happy home life and sort of harmony in the home and things, being very festive and celebratory, maybe a party or whatever. With the reversal, it would be kind of, it's not always going to say, oh, there's not a happy home life. It would have to be about looking at the cards that are surrounding this. If you have a lot of other happy, joyful cards or cards that suggest, peace, then this card would, probably not be interpreted as, the reversal of the meaning, like, oh, the home life is not very good. It's really a case-by-case basis, like I said. But so interpreting the card as sort of a twist or a turn on the original meaning. With the reversal, it could mean something like a surprise party. It could be something unexpected. This is like, with the reversal, sometimes they can be unexpected, but, something that will be coming up that you're not really sure about yet, or, something that may happen. So there's that level. So we're getting kind of the unexpected aspect, the unaware aspect of the reversal. So it's still kind of about a celebratory energy, but it might be a little bit of a twist on the meaning of that energy. Another way that we could look at this would be sort of, because this card can be associated with coming of age ceremonies and rituals and, things that sort of are lines of demarcation, reaching some kind of goal. This card in reverse could mean that there's an unrealized goal, or, there's something that you're maybe missing, like maybe you're unaware of the goal and unaware that you've already achieved it, or maybe it was a goal that you've achieved but you didn't celebrate it. Those kinds of things, so I'm noticing that we're using a lot of words, UN words. So unrealized, unexpected, just things that you're not really conscious of, that you're unconscious of. So there's an unconscious element to reversals as well. So that's kind of like a way that you can look at the card and see how it's maybe not a reversal of the meaning. You're not going to draw this card and say, oh, well, I guess my home life sucks because this Four of Wands came up in reverse. In probably more than 99% of situations, that is not going to be the answer. The answer is a lot more nuanced than that, because it actually is coming from your intuition and not just from whether or not the card was upright or reversed. So you're going to feel this, and you're going to feel into this as you grow as a reader and as you have experiences with reading reversals. So don't stress about it. If something's not coming to you right away, just turn it upright and move on. Move on with it. Another way that I do notice reversals coming up is actually, and Mary Greer talks about this in her book, Tarot Reversals, is sort of a shamanic or magical meaning of the card. So if we were to take the same card with the reversal of the Four of Wands, and let's say this was like a ceremony or a ritual, this could be referring to a magical ritual, or, meeting with a coven and having a meaningful ceremony or something along those lines. So if you're doing sort of shamanic work, or if you're doing magical work, or if you work with energy, or if you do something that's not really mainstream even, because sometimes the reversal can indicate this is different, that's why it's reversed, because it's saying this is a different kind of thing. So I hope that makes sense, that the sort of shamanic or magical side of things can come into it, where you actually get to sort of see that there's some occult energy or some metaphysical energy to the meaning of the card. And so that's not negative at all, and it's not a reversal of the meaning either. It's just something different. So reversals are, when they come up, a lot of times it's just something different about the meaning, and you really have to use your intuition as you, figure out what it actually means in your reading. Another way to look at reversals is an energy that is being withheld. So it could be blocked. It could be, you could have resistance to it. It could be something that you're hiding from. It could be something that you are keeping in sort of the shadow realm of things, like you are afraid of it, so you're keeping it in sort of your shadow, so you're not aware of it. So one card that would really nicely sort of illustrate that example would be the reversed Page of Swords. This can point to someone, because the Page of Swords upright is somebody who, talks a lot, asks a lot of questions, is a student and a beginner and is a learner, and is very sort of communicative as he learns about his new sort of project or skill. With the reversal, it can be holding back your communication. It can be having questions but being afraid to ask them, or having things that you want to say but feeling like you can't for some reason, feeling that you have to just kind of keep your mouth shut and you're afraid to say what you really feel. So this can be a block to your communication. It can be reflecting that you have some truth that you really want to express, but for whatever reason, the situation makes you feel like you can't do that. So that's one way to look at reversals. It's kind of like a block to the full expression of the card. Like the expression is still there. You have the ability to communicate. You have the ability to say your piece, but you just aren't for some reason. With the Hermit is another good example. So upright, the Hermit is about going inward, meditating, introspecting, getting true to yourself, paying attention to your unique way of viewing the world, and being very sort of individualistic in that process and just tuning into your own kind of higher self. When it's reversed, it can mean that you are sort of avoiding that, and again, if you think about it, it's not really a reversal of the meaning. It's more like this is something that you want to do, but you are maybe not making time for it, or you might be, feeling that there isn't enough value in it. You might not be believing that it will actually help you to tune into yourself and meditate. You might not believe in the benefit. So it's not really a reverse of the meaning, but it's kind of pointing out that, this is a quality or a trait that you possess. It's something that can help you. It's a strength, but you're not really using it. So that is one other way to sort of look at reversals. I want to look at some reversals that have to do with more of kind of like the more negative cards, because this is a really interesting way to look at reversals, and one that I personally feel is very accurate. When I started looking at them this way and, really kind of tap into someone's energy as I'm reading for them, so often, we will get a lot of reversed negative cards. And a lot of times it's actually because people are healing from whatever the challenge is that is depicted on the card. So with the Nine of Swords, this could be about kind of being anxious and feeling like you're really caught up with your worries and not feeling like you have a lot of inner peace, feeling very consumed with, your concerns. And with the reversal of this, it's really showing of movement out of that mental state. So you might be becoming more focused, or you might be taking some kind of like herb or a medication or doing some sort of exercise or something that helps you to feel better, like within yourself on a daily basis. And so you're actually healing from this mental suffering that we're seeing on this card. You could be getting this card in reverse in a tarot self-therapy reading, and it would indicate to you that you're making progress on the things that have been troubling you, so your worries are reducing, your worries are kind of moving away from you. And, you can expect to see like a continual process of growth around that. Same thing with the Three of Swords. With the Three of Swords, I feel like these swords are falling out of the heart. A lot of times that's what I'm shown when I look at this card in reverse. It feels like the hilts are kind of heavy, and so these swords, I just kind of see them sliding out. So if you've had any heartbreak or disappointment in your life recently, you are on your healing journey. You are sort of washing away that pain, and you're undergoing the process of healing on an internal level. So that's your reverse Three of Swords. Let's take a look at a card that has to do with restriction and fear. The Devil in reverse can point to you being liberated from your own shadow qualities by becoming more aware of them. It can, for example, with these people being sort of chained up to the Devil's post, it can point to, these people making the decision to remove these loose chains from their neck and walk away. So it's kind of, a lot of times I feel like this card, when it comes up reversed, it's like a doorway is being opened for you to live a more authentic life, and you're not as afraid, and you're not making decisions as much out of fear as you used to. And at the same time, it still validates that you were in that place, and in that way, it kind of acknowledges your progress. So those are just some of the more kind of challenging cards that when they come up reverse, they actually indicate, a progress that you're going through, that you actually have, you've made some good headway on something that was very challenging. I want to now look at a few cards that I chose from the deck that are, whether or not they come up reversed, a lot of times to me, they still kind of have the same message. That would be, first of all, the Wheel of Fortune. When the Wheel of Fortune comes up, upright or reversed, I see it as a change, the passage of time creating sort of movement in your life's circumstances. These are often changes that are outside of your control. They're something that, are part of a bigger sort of rhythm or cycle in terms of your life. Whether or not this card is upright or reversed, it doesn't really matter because the wheel is turning either way. So I don't typically make a huge distinction when this card is upright or reversed unless I get a strong intuitive hit that it came up, some type of way for a reason. The Eight of Wands is a card that when it comes up upright or when it comes up reversed, I feel like it's still giving me this impression of rapid movement. So most of the time it does feel to me like either way, it kind of has the same meaning of sort of jump on the train, go for it, take action, get involved because there's a lot of momentum going. It's that type of energy, whether it's upright or reversed. So that's the Eight of Wands. The Hanged Man, when it comes up reversed, he's actually upright. And when he's upright, he's reversed. So this card is sort of like the perfect card to represent reversals in the tarot deck because, he's reversed just by his own virtue. With this card upright, it's kind of about having to surrender and being sort of in a situation where, you may not be in control of all of the moving pieces and you just kind of have to wait it out and give it time. You have to trust and be willing to open up to spirit in those moments where you may need to have patience and faith. When it's reversed, I feel like there's a little bit more active energy to it because this person, he's upright now, so he has one foot free, so he could maybe take a step or, maybe one step. But ultimately, his foot is still tied to the tree. So this card does make me feel like even when it comes up upright, there's still something that has to be released, or there's still something that has to be surrendered to before you can actually get your foot out of that tie and start moving forward. So it's still a very similar meaning in that you do need to figure out like what it is that you have to let go of or release or allow or be receptive to in order to proceed in the direction that you want to go in. So it's still kind of like not a waiting game, but more of a surrender game, either way, when it's upright or reversed. So those are just a few examples on how to read reversals. If you are still having questions on how to read reversals, the main thing that I would recommend is just practice. Practice. And if you watched the other videos for the card blending and the tarot storytelling method, use reversals in those practices for you. So I really encourage you guys to play those games and do those practices for yourselves every single day if you can, at least a few times a week if that's all that you can do. But if you're really serious about learning the cards, you just have to practice. You just have to develop that relationship with them, and it will happen. But the thing is, tarot is a very individualistic art form. It's often, something that you can throw down the same amount of cards, the same exact cards in the same position, and a lot of, you could poll different readers and they will see different things in the spread. So it's a very personalized art form. It's something that you develop that relationship with it, and you bring that special ingredient to all of your readings, whether you're reading for yourself or with a client or, someone who you're reading for. It's going to be about you as the channel. That's the focus. The focus isn't necessarily on your style of reading reversals or not. It's more about your unique relationship to your higher self and your ability to kind of relax and tune into guidance, as well as building that foundation first, before you start reading for others or before you start a business, with tarot. It's like you really want to build that strong foundation, and you're only going to do that by practicing. So if you would like to learn more about reversals, or if you still have more questions, you can always email me or leave a comment in the Facebook group. That would be awesome. I would really appreciate it. And also, I would just say, watch other readers, watch readers on YouTube. I don't do that so much anymore because I don't want to be influenced by the way other people read. But for you guys, just, wherever you're at on your journey, there have definitely been points where in my learning process, I watched a lot more readers and tuned into what other people were doing with the cards and seeing in the cards. And so, I also read reversals in the tarot monthly videos, so you can kind of get an idea of how I deal with reversals just live in action on the YouTube channel, just as practice for you, or just to kind of see how a relationship, with reversals can be as a reader. And, just keep practicing. Use reversals in your tarot storytelling and use them in your tarot card blending exercises if you want. Just be creative. Do your thing. You have the only, you're the one that has the answers. I'm really here to just share with you what I do. The last thing that I would mention is also, for me personally, let's say I get these two cards coming up reversed in a reading. I'm not necessarily going to leave them reversed. I'm going to turn them upright because I find that my subconscious responds more and creates the messages when I'm looking at the card upright. Sometimes it's harder for me to relax and receive intuitive information if I'm looking at the cards upside down. And that's just me personally. I'm kind of a visual person, so it could be because of that. For you guys, just do whatever works for you. Personally, I do like to, make a note in my mind that the card came up reversed, but then I'll usually turn it upright so that I can really listen into it and see what the message is. Okay, guys, I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you're enjoying the course. Please stay in touch. I'd love to hear from you in the group, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Have fun!